as well as we need to. So this was a great game to watch, purely for the entertainment and perhaps not skills. End to end and manic the last few minutes meant JT's 250th was celebrated in style. Brilliant.
Yeah, okay, it was West Tigers 20, Newcastle Knights 12. The New Zealand Warriors were defeated at home 12 points to the Canberra Raiders 38.
Elliot Whitehead and Josh Hodgson played in the Raiders side. Hodgson actually came off the bench in this one, so I don't know if they're spelling him a bit.
Possibly
keep him fresh.
There you go. My Sharkies moved to the top of the table with a 20 points to 12 win over the Manly Sea Eagles. Penrith Panthers were defeated at home 24 points to Gold Coast Titans is 28. It was the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs 32, Sydney Roosters 20.
Yeah, James Graham with 172 metres and fuck the Roosters.
Did they not?
Fuck the Roosters.
Did they not put your little pal on?
No, fuck him.
Alright, fair enough.
He did have a shitter last week.
Did he have an absolute...
On the Monday game that we didn't have much detail on, did we?
Oh, yeah,
when we did the show. Yeah, he had a shitter, but still.
That's alright. You need a winger for next season.
He was named in the squad, but then not picked in the side. I don't know what's up.
Because you had a shitter the other week. Okay, final game of the weekend saw the Parramatta Eels defeated at home 6 points to Melbourne Storm's 18.
Yeah, the Sharks moved top, level on points with second place Storm, though. The Knights and Roosters are starting to get cut adrift at the bottom.
There you go. Okay, it was the France Elite 1 Grand Final this weekend. Limoux were 26 points to 24 winners over Carcassonne.
Yeah, Alan Walker got in touch about this one, which kind of prompted it to be put in the rundown, really. He said, the game from Albi, great second half from the Grizzlies, turned the game. Some champagne stylish runs plus a few big hits. The quality of play deserved more speckies. If you want to watch it, I think you can get the full game on the French Rugby League website.
Fantastic.
If you go looking for that. I saw it and thought it was a highlights clip, but then realised it was 2.5 hours, and whilst it was Magic Weekend, I didn't have another 2.5 hours to find
there you go.
To watch it. But yeah, they were behind at half time and then came back to win. So well done to the Limoux Grizzlies.
Fantastic. How's things going down in the Costa del Essex, Mark?
Well, Brentwood Eels under 13s travelled to Maidstone for a top-of-the-table clash against the Invicta Panthers. A full-blooded affair finished in a 12-all draw, leaving the Eels and Panthers joint top of the ladder on 10 points. The under 15s hosted the Invicta Panthers, so the other way around this one. Another competitive game finished with the Eels 20, Panthers 36. The Open Age lads headed over to the St Albans Centurions for the second game of the season. The final score, though, was the Centurions 44, the Eels 24 in the Centurions' 20th year. Finally, the under-14s jumped on a coach at 6 a.m. and headed up to Wigan for a game against Oral St James. This game swung one way and then the other, but finished in a 16-all draw with tries from Smith, Ray, Hammond, Worsfold, and Worsfold slotted 2 conversions.
That is a tremendous result for the under-14s, considering they were setting off at 6 in the morning.
Also, they're playing against, an established setup that has produced
lots of young, professional players.
Some fantastic players, and they're obviously playing a far more organised and structured and traditional setting and league and stuff. So great effort from our Eels.
Credit to the boys at Brentwood. Yeah, fantastic. Right, that's the world of rugby league well and truly covered. Let's take a look now as we bring you our previews and predictions for round 16 of Super League. Okay, so everyone's back where they belong this weekend. Magic Weekend's a thing of the past, and we start the weekend with Castleford taking on Wigan down at the Menderhose Jungle. I really, really fancy the Tigers to get a result on this one. I know Wigan had a big win over the Leeds Rhinos, but let's face it, that was a disseminated, downhearted, downtrodden Leeds Rhinos side. Castleford produced probably one of the performances of the season by their standards, coming back to beat Warrington. I think at Castleford this is going to be an opportunity for Cas to really show their championship chops, if you will. I'm going to go for a 20 points to 10 victory in favour of Classy Cas.
Yeah, and I could totally see Cas winning. I could totally see them scoring more points than that, but they are coming up against a very good defence in the Wigan Warriors. And an attack that is starting to show signs of direction, at least. So I will always back my boys.
Of course you do.
I can't make this game. I'm not going to be able to finish work in time on a Thursday to head over this time, unfortunately. We lost one of our team members last week at work, and now it's like they didn't die.
Oh, right.
They just left.
The way you said it, like, all seriously, like, we lost.
Well, it's pretty serious because it just means I have to do more work. But
right. So they may as well have died as far as you're concerned.
Yeah, because it means I can't go to this game. But anyway, Wigan 28, Wigan 28-24 over. I'm going to tip just because we can win, although it really wouldn't shock me if Cas beat us by 20 points.
I mean, it could definitely go either way. Yeah. Okay, Warrington take on the Leeds Rhinos at the Halliwell Jones. Now, obviously, Wire are having a little bit of a shake at the minute, but I don't think it's going to matter against this Leeds side, who I just don't think they know where the next win's coming from. I think at home with the Halliwell Jones crowd behind them, hopefully with the week to put some of the attitudinal stuff right, they're going to come out with a 28 points to 14 win over the woeful Winos.
Yeah, I've picked the Warrington 28-10. Although it wouldn't completely shock me if Leeds did win this. I have a feeling if Leeds start well in this game, away from home and away from expectation, and I think Warrington, having been on a bad run, I mean, let's face it, since Chris Sando got injured in the first half, at the end of the first half in that game at Wigan, they've been pretty shit. If we're being honest, they've not looked anything like what they looked for the most part.
No.
So, although Sandow could be back, there's talk of Sandow being back the next week or two. But anyway, it wouldn't completely shock me if Leeds did do something in this game because they still have talented players. But it would surprise me, and I find it hard to tip that they're going to win this game. So I'm going to go, Warrington 28-10.
Fantastic. Salford take on Wakefield at the AJ Bell. At the moment, I just find it hard to tip against Trim. I think they're doing fantastically well. Salford are a different proposition at home to what they are away from home, I would suggest, but the way Wakefield are going about their business at the minute and with the way that their two halves are clicking, I think if they come with the right attitude and the right game plan, that they could very well get away with the result here. So I'm going to tip Wakefield for 28 points to 20 win over the Salford Red Devils.
I'm going to back Salford at home in a close one. I'm going to get 22 points to 20. Whilst Wakefield are showing lots of character, grit and enterprise, I also think the same actually does apply for Salford, and what Salford have is size, and if some of the Wakefield
have got some size,
if some of the Wakefield touch doesn't come off in this one, these Salford players, because they're all big apart from Dobson and Evalds if he comes back in, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true.
But they're almost all big,
aren't they?
and O'Brien, but he's not going to get into having to make many tackles. But Miller running at the wife beater, I think he's going to get physically beaten up there. There's going to be Masilla. Willa Haraki's a bit of a grubby bastard when he wants to be, and isn't ashamed of being that. No. I just think Salford will be more physical than what Wakefield. Well, they came up against Catalan, but I think Salford are playing well enough at home to be able to pull this out. So I'm going to edge it to their favour.
No, I just
22-20.
I like the Wakey pack. Okay, Hull FC take on St Helens over at the KCOM. Forgive me. This could be Hull by a million from the way things went. They found a way to win games when adversity does come along, like they proved last weekend up in Newcastle. And St Helens at the minute are just a combination of poorly coached, bad in defence, and missing a lot of players. So I'm going to go Hull FC 36, St Helens 18.
I've gone very similar to you actually. 36-20 in favour of Hull FC. I think Hull FC looked classy with Tuma Varve, and I'm expecting maybe that to continue. They've got wingers who are in form. Even their third choice winger, Michaels, was scoring tries when he was playing. They've got Shaw, who's electric, and they've got a pack that doesn't stop really. They're just big across big and skillful across the piece. That's the most impressive thing. And then off the back of that, Houghton and Snade are working so well that I just don't see them. I don't see them falling in this one to a team that can't defend at the moment. And if Saints had maybe only defended badly for a couple of weeks, I could see them addressing it. But it's been so long now that I'm struggling to see where this fix-up's coming from. And as a result, I'm going to go with a 36 points to 20 win to Hull FC, like I say.
Fantastic. Okay, Catalan Dragons take on Hull KR down in the south of France. I'll tell you exactly how this one goes, Mark. Catalan jump out to an early lead. Hull KR start to pin them back, and Catalan go, shit, we better pull our fingers out, and end up winning 30 points to 10.
Yeah, 26 points to 16, because I don't think Catalan are playing flowing rugby consistently. I mean, that move for the Broughton try, where it went through Carney and the Gift and Gigo, that was one of the best executed plays of Magic Weekend. It wasn't one of the most thrilling plays because it was training ground execution, and they can pull that off enough times to beat this Hull KR side.
Yeah, I think so too. Final game of the weekend then sees Widnes taking on Huddersfield. This was the tricky one for me this weekend, but I'm going to go for a Huddersfield Giants win. As I mentioned earlier, they've won 3 out of the last 4 games, Huddersfield Giants, and Widnes can't buy a win at the minute. So I think all that's going to it might be a bit of a scrappy affair, but I'm going to go for a 24 points to 14 victory in favour of the newly on form Huddersfield Giants.
Yeah, I'm going 22-16 in favour of Huddersfield. Similar reasons. Widnes haven't sorted out what to do when things go wrong, and Huddersfield have players in that lineup that can make things go wrong for you. They are an impressive outfit. When you've got people like McGillivray, Cudjoe, Brough running at you, I mean, they've still got weak points in that team. I don't see Joe Wardle as a top level Super League player. No. I don't see Scott Grix as a top player in any way, shape or form, really. And I have some questions over the young players, how good they are, but they're certainly getting their experience and they need that, the likes of Mason and Roberts and people like that. But they're starting to get it together, aren't they?
Yeah.
I've got to tip them against a team that don't want to. There we go.
Okay, so that's our predictions. If you're unable to make a game this weekend, or you're at a game and want to keep on top of things, or if someone at your work has left unexpectedly and you're not allowed to go, like our friend Mark here, then our mates at SL Clubs will keep you covered with live tweets from around the games as they happen this weekend. Particularly if you go to the Championship Bash, you'll be able to keep an eye on how things are going on Saturday and
there's 2 games.
Sunday.
There's 2 games on Saturday. Hull FC and Catalan. Games are both on Saturday, aren't they, this week?
So you can keep on top of things. So talking about the Championship Bash then, both of these games we're going to be attending, aren't we? First of all, the Championship game of the week, Mark, which you've picked out as Bradford versus Lee.
Yes, I have. And it's obvious, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, really.
To be honest.
Yeah, it's the showpiece match of
London-Sheffield would be good if Sheffield weren't a bag of shite this year.
Oh, woeful.
But you never know, because they owe London one for last year.
Yeah.
And there's other entertaining games. Like last year, the Whitehaven Workington game was probably my favourite game of the weekend. But no, Bradford Lee, it should be vibrant and violent.
I would have thought so, yeah. Have you got any tips for this one?
I will go for Bradford, just because we're going to be amongst all the Bradford fans.
We are going to be amongst all the Bradford fans. And if
do we know which end we have to buy our tickets for then? Because we haven't bought them, have we? Or have we?
No, we haven't pre-bought them.
No,
we're going to rock up and pay.
Right, okay.
But it's just unreserved, so you can walk from end to end like we did last year.
Yeah, but we want to sort of edge towards that end in case they stop us moving around at any point if it gets busy.
I assume that the Bradford fans have taken the same end as last year, so we'll make sure that we get that end.
Okay.
And do it that way. But I'm sure...
Why don't you look into it?
I shall look into it.
Good lad.
Fantastic. I'm not even sure where I begin with that, but okay.
Go on Bradford's website, see what end they're selling their tickets for.
That'll be the answer. That'll be the answer. Cheers, Mark. Okay. I
have to do fucking everything?
Shut up, man. Right. I'm going to pick a Bradford win just because we've got it in us to do it, but we have to play the right way. If we try and play Lee up the middle, they'll beat us. But if we play them out wide and play on the fringes like we did in the last 20 minutes in the game where we drew with them, then we've got it in us to get a win. So hopefully we know the game plan.
A question mark over it might be how it's refereed. If it's refereed like a semi-pro game, slow plays of the ball I think would suit Lee more than Bradford.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, let's go for a Bulls win. By drop goal in the last minute into the Bulls' end. Let's have that. Okay, but the League One game of the week is the first game of the Championship Bash mark, as Keighley Cougars take on the York City Knights, and we're both York fans for the afternoon, aren't we now? So
I would have been all behind Keighley. Hopefully there'll be Danny Jones DFib badges to buy and stuff around.
I hope so too.
And we'll get on that. Like, we'd encourage everyone to support Lizzie in those charity efforts.
Yeah.
But to be honest, after Paul March's comments about the London Scholars, I think
we did the team talk for him, didn't he?
I think he's a bit. But I think he's let himself down. He's let the league down.
He's had a couple of these now, hasn't he, Paul March?
Yeah, but he obviously doesn't pay